Hello guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video, we will see the mistakes that you should avoid in the TCF writing or TEF. We'll go over the common mistakes and how to avoid them. First of all, why does this video matter? Because the more mistakes you make in the writing, the more points you will lose. So it's very important to try to avoid as many mistakes as possible. Of course, there will be some mistakes, but our goal is to just minimize them. All right. So some of the obvious mistakes are poor structure, grammar errors, and misunderstanding the task. So these are like the categories of the mistakes. Okay. So the mistakes will fall into these three categories. Well, either it's a structure problem or basic grammar problem or misunderstanding of the task. So we'll go over seven mistakes in this video. Number one is ignoring the instruction. All right, so it falls under category number three, which is misunderstanding the task. So here, don'ts is to not answer the question fully. For example, if they ask you to write your opinion on about something and give examples, and you just write your opinion without giving example, in that case you did not follow the instruction. Okay, so following the instruction is extremely important. For example, they tell you write an email to your friend, ask them how they are, tell them what you're gonna do, and tell them like goodbye. For example, you send a message, you didn't send an email, right? It's not an email format, or you didn't greet them, or you didn't tell them what you were up to. So it's very important. Spend some time in the reading instruction, right? Read carefully. Are you writing a message? Are you writing an opinion or formal letter, right? Identify the format of the writing. What is it going to be? Identify the purpose and the tone. Okay, so if you're talking to your friend, maybe it's a familiar language that you're gonna use, but if it's a formal letter, you're gonna use formal language. Okay, so you have to identify all these before even starting to write. This is the first thing. Okay, so mistake number two is no structure. Having no structure, just coming and writing. All the sentences are in one line, they are all connected, there's no skipping a line, there's no connectors, so just writing in like a very long line. So you should avoid that. What you should do instead is to use a clear structure. If it's like the last task where you are writing your opinion about something, you can start with an introduction, a development, and conclusion. Okay, basically in the introduction you will state your argument, your opinion, and then in the development you will state an argument and give an example, in the second argument and give an example, and then you will finish with the conclusion. Okay, but if for example they tell you to write a letter, then there is a structure for a letter. I've talked about this into detail in our TCF course, so if you want more details you can go ahead and purchase that at HZAD But basically, if it's a letter, then you have to write to whom you are writing to, the date and the destination, and then you start with cher, monsieur, madame, like it means dear something, and then you're at the object and all of that. So there is a clear structure that you need to use, and then you follow that. The languages also, the sentences that you should use, it's already there, like it's not something you invent, right? So you need to understand what the format is and follow the format. Mistake number three, overusing simple words. Okay, I am someone who likes simplification. I like simple things, simple messages, clear, simple. But when it comes to this writing, you want to show off. Even if you are like very humble, I'm sure you don't like wanna boast or everything, but here you have to show up your French. You have to show up that you know French, that you know complex words. How do you do it? You use the complex in the right way, in the right context. You don't want to use words that you don't understand. Okay, so you can use words that are more precise. Instead of saying bon, you can say utile, for example, which means useful, or nécessaire, it means necessary. Benefit, means beneficial, right? These words are more precise. They are better at describing something instead of just saying bon, good, interesting, a lot, too. Like this is just too simple. Okay, so you have to learn about synonyms. This is where synonyms come in handy. So try to learn the synonyms of these very common words and kind of just try to practice using them. Add connectors. I will always insist on the importance of connectors, especially in the writing section, because they give a flow to your logical argumentation. So cependant, however, if you're opposing an idea, a donc if you're giving the consequence of something, En revanche, it's however. Par conséquent means in consequence, right? So you need to use these connectors. Okay, mistake number 4, it's writing too much or too little. Okay, for example, you just write 2 lines or you write 3 pages, like going from one extreme to another. Here you don't want to be in the extremes, you want to be in the middle. Okay, if it's the short text, you want to write between 6 to 80 words. If it's the long text, you want to write between 120 to 150 words, and always prioritize quality over quantity. Okay, doesn't mean that you don't reach the word count. You have to respect that. This is what I was telling you about mistake number 1, not following the instruction. You have to follow the instruction. That includes respecting the word count, but after doing that, just focus on making your writing very concise but very qualitatively good. Okay, so here the ideas, I will talk about this later on in mistake number 6, but it's like avoiding to repeat yourself, like repeat something that you have already said, or repeating a word, or maybe like unnecessary words. For example, when you're describing something, when you can use 3 words, you use 6 instead. So when it comes to writing, like you want it to be compact, right, to be full of meaning. Okay, so this is extremely important. Now mistake number 5, forgetting to reread. Before submitting, you have to spell check, you have to grammar check everything and vocabulary and see you have that you wrote everything correctly. Always leave 3 to 5 minutes at the end to fix spelling, add missing accents, check if your verbs agree with the noun. You know, in French, gender agreement, number agreement is a big thing, so you make sure that you have time to make those corrections. Now mistake number 6, repeating yourself. This I mentioned this briefly in mistake number 4, but basically using the same sentence again and again, same words again and again. You have to reformulate. You can use synonyms, right? Give example instead. If you run out of idea, if for example you run out of arguments, you can just give examples, right? You can give facts, data. You can try to add something else, you know, instead of repeating what you've already said. I think this is like one of the big mistakes, because maybe you have one good idea, you don't know what else to write, but in that case, write examples. That will be your best solution. Show a second angle. For example, if there is one way to see something, you can give another perspective. For if you are writing for something, you are for an issue, you agree with something, maybe if you still have time, you can kind of give the opposing view and be like, okay, maybe some people think, and then you give the opposing view, and then you counter that view, and then you give examples. So there will be always something you can add instead of repeating yourself. Now finally, using spoken French. This is a big mistake. Writing and speaking are totally different. Like there are things that you can do in speaking, like you can repeat yourself, you know, you can use familiar language, you can do all of that in speaking, but when it comes to writing, you need to avoid all of that. You don't want to be contracting things, like here in this example, c'est pas. Here you write je ne sais pas, like you write it a formal piece of writing. C'est cool, it's a very formal language, you don't want to use that in your writing. Je suis trop content, like this word trop, you don't want to use this word in your writing. Maybe trop content, you can replace trop content with something very happy. If it was in English, you could replace it with thrill. In French, you can replace it with je suis. If it was English, you can replace it with I'm thrilled instead of saying I'm too happy. Same thing in French, you can do that. Do's, writing needs to be neutral or formal depending on the task. Also, you don't want to in French, you know, when you are writing like a dissertation, you don't want to write personal subject like I this, I that. No, you kind of want to be neutral, be like some people using the passive voice, you know, reported speech, those formal way of writing, you want to use that, and avoid slangs, abbreviations, contractions. You want to avoid all of that. It's totally fine in speaking, but not in writing. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.